So we have 2.5 hours jam-packed webinar today of Facebook, Twitter, and Pinterest. A lot of personal stories that will be the personal wins, maybe even some losses, who knows. But it's all about sharing what's been working. Brandy will turn on your microphones a little later if you guys have stuff to talk about. But I will be in the background. I'll be the girl behind the curtain doing the chats. So if you guys have any questions you want to ask, or say, Brandy, I blinked at the wrong time, what did you do? You can do that as well. Remember, on your GoToWebinar panel at the very top, you can take a screenshot too. So if you want to capture something that Brandy has put up there, you certainly may, although she generally doesn't really like that in class. She's, can I have that handout? No, I found this, go find your own. But today's the one time you can cheat and have that done. All right, so we have 9 registered already. We still have a couple more. We had 14 register for this. We have 10 on. I'm sure they'll be coming on in a few minutes. And so remember, you have your questions box on the right-hand side. Does everybody see that? Just go ahead and write a yes over there so I know. There's my chat, so I'll open that up. And some of this will be participation. Now, it's funny because Brandy, when she teaches class, she can usually see your faces when you got that glazed over look going, I have no idea what you're saying.
Yeah, this webinar makes it a little more challenging because social media is a very interactive class. And so this makes it a little more challenging. So if you guys have questions, make sure you jump on that chat area, ask away. Because the first half is a lot of information, and then the second half is a little more hands-on. And my suggestion is follow along, watch what I'm doing, and just take notes, take screenshots of where I'm doing stuff, how I got there, and then go and try to do it yourself. If you're really techie and really good at technology, you can kind of minimize and side screen it where I'm teaching on one half of your screen and then you're working your Facebook and Instagram and things on your other half of the screen. If you're really talented, you can do that. Otherwise, just follow along. And then you can always reach out to us and ask us questions. One thing I'll go over is you can get a hold of anyone at any point in time. And so you'll be able to find me on social media or find me in HomeSnap or anything and message me and ask me how I did something.
Yep, perfect. Don't forget there is one handout in your GoToWebinar little control panel. So there is handouts. It says 1 of 5. So there's just one handout in there for you. That's where you can add your questions, your chats. Great. Kurt, Lisa, and Lori all said that they could hear and all that. So thank you guys. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and turn off my webcam and my speaker because my dog scratched on the window and she wants in. All right. Enjoy your webinar. I will be in the background answering whatever you need.
So I'm going to go ahead and get started. I'm going to pull up our PowerPoint right now. It's fighting me. Let's see. All right, so you guys should all be able to see the PowerPoint. And obviously you're taking social media marketing for real estate agents. And we're going to cover, actually, I'm going to go back to that screen. So we're going to cover what I consider our 3 major platforms. And for me, when I talk about social media, our 3 major platforms are Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Now, Facebook and Instagram are the obvious ones in our area, in our marketplace. Facebook and Instagram are incredibly important. There's a lot of emphasis on them. Facebook is starting to, what I see, decline. Instagram, there's a huge push for it. People are loving the visual platform that it is. And then Twitter's not huge in our marketplace, but it's big in other fast-paced marketplaces. And we'll talk about that a little more in depth as we go. The other apps that I have up here on the main screen are Snapchat, WhatsApp, and LinkedIn. There are thousands of social media apps. And from those thousands of social media apps, all of them can be utilized. But what I want to talk about and focus on this class, and what I want you guys thinking as I'm going through the class, is what is your niche? What is your business? What's the direction that your business should be going in order to be successful? Those are the apps, those are the programs that you're going to be using, or the platforms that you're going to be using to be really successful in social media. So again, we'll focus on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And you guys should all have a business account for all three of those, not just a personal account, a business account. We'll go over why in the next few screens. So to start, we want to talk about what social media is. Now, everybody has an idea that they know what it is, but when I normally in person, when I ask this question, it's a little more challenging to answer, it seems. So people always tend to look at the screen before they answer me. But social media is online communication. It's a way to touch with everybody out there. And it's a two-way conversation. And I think a lot of people mistake that. They go into social media and they think this is a way that I get to stand on a podium and yell out what I'm doing. And that's not true. The way to actually utilize it and be successful at it is to create a two-way conversation. It's to engage with other people. It's to build people that interest. So I'm going to give them something that they feel like they have a voice in and have enough interest in that they want to communicate back to me. And that's how I build a bigger following. And it's unlike any other advertising. So my example of this is always, if you go to a restaurant, you go out to eat, and you sit down at the restaurant and you pull out your menu, and as you're reading the menu, you go to the things that you normally go to, right? Like you go to the things that you already can visualize, or you already know what they taste like in your mouth, in your mind, like you have it planned out. If your go-to is a bacon burger, you're going to go straight to those burgers and you're going to find the bacon burger that you want. Now, how much different would it be if that menu was an iPad? And as you scrolled through the menu, you could see the chicken being grilled on the grill, and you could see the juices coming out of the chicken or the sauces that they're pouring on. And even though it's not your go-to, it sold it to you in a very different way, because it's not just you reading what the ingredients are, it's you seeing them and them coming to life for you. So you can actually taste what's going on as your mind's creating this and watching this video. So social media allows you to do that. So the paper mailers that we used to send out, or some still do, and they still work, but they're in combination with this. Those mailers that you send out are a visual reminder that you're in real estate. Social media allows you to connect with that person that you were going to send that mailer to. So it allows you to tell your story. It allows you to build a bridge that connects the two of you. And that's what makes them want to trust you. And that's what makes them ultimately use you as an agent. It's to share and exchange information, create viral awareness about conversations and current events. This we have an extreme example of, obviously, with everything that we're going through. That's how we're keeping up to date, right? We're watching social media, we're seeing what's going on, and everybody is on it right now. So this is a great time to be taking this class, because you guys have at least 2 more weeks to really work on your social media and get it going, because our industry is ultimately kind of quiet right now. And this is normally our go, go, go time. So this is a time to spend the next couple weeks figuring out your plan for social media and attacking it, because your audience is huge right now. Everybody is on it. It's online professional and personal branding. And unfortunately, fortunately and unfortunately, when it comes to real estate, our professional and personal branding are almost the same. They are so gray, it's not even funny. It's our face is our business. And unfortunately, my face is the exact same for my professional life as it is for my personal life. So you have to be aware that when you're branding yourself on social media, your professional and personal are going to work together. If you guys don't already have a business page for Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, I'm going to strongly suggest you do them at the end of this class. Pinterest is a great platform that you can pull information from. If you have a large following on Pinterest already, utilize it. If you don't, then pull content from there, see what's going on, see what other agents are doing, and that's where you're going to go and find other content. LinkedIn, if you have a huge networking group, utilize it. Start posting on LinkedIn. YouTube is a great place to be giving your buyers or sellers education, no matter what your niche is. Like if you work with a lot of first-time home buyers, that's where you're going to get on and you're going to walk them through the steps. You're going to do videos with education for that. So start thinking about, like I said, where your business is going or how you want to design your business when it comes to social media. Remember that NAR and Facebook have rules and they apply. Facebook is built around friends and groups. It includes many networks of companies, regions, high schools, and colleges. Users may also create a business page for commercial use. This is really important. You will not use your personal profile for your own commercial gain. For commercial purposes, create a business page rather than only a personal profile. Share listings on a personal page is against NAR's and Facebook's rules. Now, every class in person, I get beat up about this question. Well, I've been doing it forever, and I've always posted my listings to my personal page, and I've never gotten caught. Okay, well, there's always that one thief that gets away with things for a long time, and then eventually he gets caught. There's a lot of agents that have called me and said, hey, I'm in Facebook jail. How do I get out? It is a real thing. It does happen. They look for tag words, and if somebody else doesn't, if Facebook doesn't catch on to it because you're not using certain tag words that capture their attention, somebody could report it. Somebody could get sick of it at any point in time. And once they put you in Facebook jail, sometimes you can stay there for 2 weeks, and it is up to them to let you out. So they investigate the page, they make sure you're not abusing it. If you're utilizing your personal page for your commercial gain, they do not stand for it anymore. Facebook is really trying to cut down on people using it inappropriately or not the way that they want. And that's because I do think that there is a little bit of a decline here. And so they're going to start cracking down on that even more. Now there's workarounds for that. Now, if I know that I get beat up over this, so on average, you probably have about 150 to 200 followers on your Facebook page for business. On your personal side, you may have 1,500 friends. And the argument is, well, I need my 1,500 friends to see my listing or to see what's going on, because that's really where my business is going to come from. And that's 100% true. We can share our content from our business page to our personal page. I have to have that path that says this is coming from a commercial page, because it is an advertisement. It is something that needs to be monitored. And so it has to have that path back to our business page rather than just being on our personal page. Remember, guys, if you guys have any questions, please jump onto that questions chat and ask, and I'll stop and answer them, because normally in person, I get a lot of questions here. So don't hesitate to jump on there and ask them. Remember, laws still apply on Facebook. So federal and state laws, antitrust, fair housing, posting inaccurate information. You have to recognize your brokerage. Remember that social media is a form of advertising. That does not mean that your advertising rules go out the window. When I look at your Facebook page, I need to know what brokerage you work for. I need to understand where you came from, because if there is something that goes wrong or someone needs to make a complaint, they can't just say like, oh, I want to fight, I have a complaint against Billy Bob who works for Billy Bob. Well, Billy Bob has a broker, and Billy Bob is now going to get hit with 2 things because he's not recognizing his broker and advertising properly. Facebook doesn't care about our Michigan laws or California's laws in that sense. They're a worldwide platform. They can't dictate those rules by themselves. There's just no possible algorithm that they could build to do that. So it's your responsibility here to make sure that you're following the guidelines that we need to follow. No bad mouthing other realtors, sharing someone else's listing without permission, or sharing information about neighborhood demographics. So a couple things here. Keep in mind, when you get on social media, you are standing on a podium and you are announcing it out. So if you're bad mouthing, if you're discussing commissions, you are on a podium. You're standing up there and announcing it to the world. It's not a place to do that. Sharing someone's listing without permission. This is where I get another beat up over. So lucky for me, I'm not in actual class and I can't get beat up over this. What this means is I have to ask your permission. And you want to check with your broker as well. So I work for Real Living Key, as we discussed at the beginning. John Meisman has a rule that when you sign up to be an agent for him, I sign up giving any agent in our company permission to share my listings. We got in an argument about this when I first started there because he was like, well, I own the listings, and if they want to share your listing, they can. Okay, I mean, if that's your company rule, then yes, you're right. However, that's not everyone's company rule. So your broker owns the listings, and that's 100% accurate. So check with your broker. Is it a rule that everybody in the office can share anybody's listing? If it is, great, you can share them, but you have to give credit where credit is due. I have to either source the listing agent or share it from an original source. From an original source is an IDX platform. The way I know that it's an IDX platform is normally when I see that post, down at the bottom of the gray box, it'll say the actual website or place that it came from. So like if it came from a KV Core, or if it came from our list track, which is a tool that we'll talk about in the future, like in this class, where you can share your listings from. Those are IDX platforms. So if the consumer clicks on it, it's going to show the listing agent's information and not necessarily yours as the person who shared it on Facebook. What this is saying is you can't walk into an open house, take a video, and then claim it as your own. There is some protection there for people who have listings. Now, if I walk into an open house, I know who is hosting the open house, I have their permission, and I tag them on Facebook, 100% okay. But again, you have to have permission or be at least giving credit where credit is due. Sharing information about neighborhood demographics. My whole thing on this whole page is if you're going to struggle to explain your post to an attorney, don't post it. Like if you're going to stumble through like, oh, well, I meant it from this standpoint and that, just don't post it. It's really simple. If it sounds like a lawsuit or if it sounds like you're going to struggle through explaining it to somebody, just stay away from it. Normally I get questions there. So either you guys aren't listening or you really you got it all really quickly. So I'm impressed. Kudos for you guys. But we're going to talk about the lead capture tools that you have with MiRealSource. How many of you guys even knew that these existed in there? Hopefully you did. And in the hands-on portion, I'll show you where to find these. But I find a lot of agents pay for tools that they already have available to them. You guys you have your membership here. You might as well utilize these social media and lead generation tools that we have. So the first one is Cloud CMA, and that's a lead generation tool with a landing page called What's My Home Worth? And you can post this out to all social media sites or platforms. And it allows prospects to create a quick CMA. It is a quick and dirty. If your consumer is a little cottage on a lake that's like 1,000 square feet and they're surrounded by $13 million homes, it's going to tell them that their home's worth a lot more than what it is because it's a quick and dirty. It's going to pull that area and give them pendings and solds in the 2-mile radius around them. But what this does do is it gives you their email. It not only alerts you that you have a new lead, it tells you where that lead came from, what social media platform, if it's been posted out the way that I'll show you where it is. But if it's been posted out by clicking the Facebook link, it'll show you that your lead came from Facebook. And I lost my train of thought. Anyways, it'll come back. So it'll tell you that you got a lead. It'll show you where that lead came from. You'll have the person's name and their email address. A lot of times I found that the lead will not tell you their full name. That's okay. You have other tools within MiRealSource that allow you to go and look up their name, like Realist. Realist will be able to tell you their full name. And so when I go and write an email back to that consumer that clicked on What's My Home Worth, I can write their full name out. Now, one of the things I talk about, and if any of these programs sound like a foreign language, I strongly suggest during these couple weeks that we have off to go and take the class for this. If Cloud CMA doesn't sound like something you know about yet, or you haven't utilized, or you don't know where that lead generation tool is in it, take this Cloud CMA class. It's a great class, and trust me, it'll be worth it. Two more things on Cloud CMA. When we are talking about these lead generation tools, think about where to use them, because a lot of times what people do is they hear me talk about that tool and then they jump on their social media and they post it out, and then they come back and they go, well, I didn't get any leads. Okay, so I had this happen in a class. A young lady had said, oh yeah, I use that all the time and I never get any leads on it. And I went, well, do you mind me asking how old you are? And she goes, I'm 25. Okay. How many friends do you have on Facebook? 1,500. And of those friends, what's their average age? She's like, mine, her age, 25. Okay, so if the average age is around 25 to 30, let's just say to be safe, and it was probably more 25 to 35, how many of those people are first-time home buyers? And she's like, all of my friends that are really close that are going to use me are first-time home buyers. Well, then the What's My Home Worth app isn't going to work for them. And so this is where it gets important to think about your business and your niche and your sphere of influence in which you have on social media. Because if the majority of her friends were first-time home buyers, they didn't have a home to see what their home was worth. Now, if she would have been in an older age group where everybody owns their first home, they've maybe owned two by now, and they really want to keep an eye on the market, that's where this tool is going to be really useful. Now, what she could have done is used it on an app like Nextdoor, where it's your social, it's a social platform where all of the neighbors in the area can see what their home is worth. And even if you rent at that point in time, it doesn't matter, because there's still houses around you, and the people that they're going to trust are people that live in the same area as them, or they see you walking your dog every once in a while. So think about where to utilize these things that is going to be the most successful. The next one that we have is ListTrack. ListTrack is a single property website. It also creates texting and QR codes, open house banners, and it'll tell you all the information about that listing right in one spot that you can send to your clients. You can send to, you can post it out to social media, the QR codes. If somebody takes a picture of that QR code, it'll pull up the single property website for them. If you use the texting codes that are in there, all the consumer has to do is text a number to a phone number, and it'll send them the single property website, but it'll also send you as the agent their phone number and saying that they requested more information about this house. So you'll be able to text back and forth with them. Market Stats is the third one, and I'm actually going to throw in a fourth one, but Market Stats is the third one, which is the interactive charts and graphs that you can create for certain areas. And Market Stats is an awesome way to create engagement on social media. So you'll always hear me talk about social media being two-way conversations, two-way interaction. Market Stats allows you to do that. So what Market Stats does is I can pull, normally when I post Market Stats, I'm going to do 4 different counties. And of those 4 different counties, I might tell them the average sale price and show them how it's increased over the last 3 years. So, or 4 or 5 years, whatever it may be. And what I normally do at that point is tell them if they comment with their zip code down below, then I will send them a customized Market Stat graph of what's going on in their specific area. Because the 4 counties that I can compare is a much broader range, and it's not going to give them an actual idea of where their home value has increased. It's going to make them interested enough to see if their home value increased, but not an accurate enough reading for them. The fourth one that I want to talk about is HomeSnap. So HomeSnap, I have utilized as a great lead generation tool. You can share out your profile and then capture new leads. I have a lot of leads in my HomeSnap app of people who've utilized the app over utilizing maybe Zillow or Realtor or Trulia, and I've never met them, but I can see all of the all of the houses that they're looking at, that they're favoriting. And when they are favoriting it, I can reach out to them and just shoot them a text saying, hey, I saw that you favorited this. Just let me know if you'd like to go see it at any point in time. And I've actually gotten a few where I've started interacting with them. And I've only been using HomeSnap as a lead generation tool for maybe the last 6 months, where I've really kind of worked it. So those leads will eventually turn into sales, and I'm seeing that transition happen. So I'm going to add that fourth one, even though it's not on here. And again, if any of these sound like a foreign language to you, I strongly suggest that you jump on and take one of the classes. Each one of these programs have their own class, and they'll be able to go into depth on how to utilize those. These 3 that are on this page are all in your resources. So when we go to MiRealSource, they are going to be in your resources button up at the top. That's what I like to call my little sandbox. It's where all my toys are when I go to the beach. Well, obviously my background is the beach. And so when I go into my Paragon, I go to my little sandbox where all my toys are, and this is where I get to play when it comes to social media. So Cloud CMA, List Track, and Market Stats. I feel like we should have questions. I'm encouraging you to ask questions. Make sure you ask away, because really it gets harder once we leave, or like once I move forward and then go backwards. So don't be afraid to ask questions. I'm tempted to unmute you guys.
So Brandy, we don't have any questions at this time. However, what I did is we have a Market Stats webinar this afternoon. I added the GoToWebinar registration link into the chat box. And as you were talking about those other products, about how to generate leads through our other products, I uploaded those cheat sheets into the handouts. So now we have 5 different handouts: Cloud CMA lead generation, HomeSnap Pro lead generation, List Track, sharing your listings, and Market Stats lead generation. So that'll keep you busy for a day or two, people.
Yeah, and don't do it all at once. Like, I know people get out of this class and they're always gung-ho and like ready to dive in, and they're like, I'm going to post this today and this tomorrow and this the next day. Just take it slow. It doesn't all have to happen at once. If you forget about it, it's okay. We're here. You can ask us anytime how to do something. So don't leave this class and think I have to do it all right now. Just space it out over time, throw in some extra material, which we'll talk about here, and make sure you're doing it right instead of just trying to dive in. The other thing about those tools that we just talked about, you have to test them first. Test them on yourself. Test them on a spouse, on a child, on anyone but the general public at first. You have to understand how these programs work before you go out and boost them to social media or even put them out there, because you get one shot to be known as a professional. And if you put that Cloud CMA lead generation tool out there, and you tell people, hey, click on the link down below, which is what we'll talk about, because you have to have a call to action there. And somebody messages you and says, hey, I got to this part of it, but I don't know what to do next. And your response is, I don't know, I've never done it as a consumer. They've lost trust in you. And you can't get it back with that person. Granted, it's one person, but that's one person that could have turned into a $250,000 sale. So it's not worth losing when all it takes is an extra 30 minutes to test it on yourself, see how it works, see how it comes over, and then go from there. The other thing, before I jump into the importance of social media, the other thing I want to talk about is making sure that we understand we have to somehow build trust with the general public on social media. So I'm going to put a pin in that. Keep that in mind, because I'll jump back into it when I get to this important stuff. So the importance of social media, obviously we know that there's a generation gap that's closing for people who are on social media. There's seniors all the way to, like, I say teens in this PowerPoint, but the reality is even young children are on social media, which is crazy. They know how to use it. You could put your phone into a 2-year-old's hand and they will know how to be on Instagram faster than you know how to be on Instagram, no matter what age you are. They just, for some reason, they know how to use these. So there are billions of people on social media. Facebook has gone from 500 million registered users to 2.5 billion. And I do believe that has even increased since I've updated this PowerPoint. But 2.5 billion, and here's my story here. If you can't find an extra $3 million worth of sales in a year from 2.5 billion people just on Facebook, we're doing something wrong. You have 2.5 billion people at your fingertips. And the only person who puts a cap on how many people you want to touch in a year, in a month, in a week is you. In today's world, every single person that is using social media is reachable. If I want to talk, I always talk about Kevin Hart in my classes because I feel like he's a very popular stand-up comedian now. If I want to talk to him, all I have to do is send him a message on any social media platform, whether I want to comment on his TikTok, talk to him on Twitter, on Instagram, on Facebook. He doesn't utilize Facebook as much, but I could, his YouTube channel, any of those platforms at any point in time, I could reach out to him and talk to him. And the only person who puts the cap on whether or not I can or believes that I can is me. So of all of these platforms, if you look at how many users, you can look at even over here. I don't know if you can see my mouse. Let's see. Oh, sorry. Not now. Can you see my mouse? Let's use here. So
Yes.
Okay, because I can't see it on my screen sharing, so I didn't know if you guys could still see it. So right here, the number of people using social media platforms, they're in the billions. Even if I looked at LinkedIn and if I looked at the smaller platforms, so LinkedIn having 300 million people is a lot of people. I'll never meet that many people in my life. I don't think, maybe, I don't know. It depends on how social butterfly-ish I am. But at the end of the day, that's a lot of people. Don't discredit those platforms just because they only have millions of users and not billions, okay? Each platform has its own specific audience. So whether you're utilizing Snapchat, whether you're utilizing LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, or Instagram, each platform functions very differently, and they all attract a certain type of audience. Now, with that said, when it comes to social media, you have to remember we're trying to bridge the gap between myself and a stranger and make them trust me. One of my spiel when I talk about this is everybody understands the feeling of walking into Art Van. And when you walked into Art Van, when it was open, when you walked in, you always felt like this wounded animal. Like you walked in and all of a sudden, all of these salesmen saw you walk, or salespeople saw you walk in the door, and they started circling. And you would look down and you'd just put your head down and they'd go, what can we help you with today? And you'd be like, oh, nothing, I'm just looking, even though you were looking for couches. You felt so threatened that you didn't want to tell them what you were looking for, even though you were really just looking for couches. You just wanted to look, but because they made you feel so threatened, you wouldn't tell them. And then you would get to the couches and they would circle you. They would just swarm you until you picked up the tag. And then as soon as you picked up the tag, they'd be like, oh, that's on sale. And you can customize the color. And then you would start engaging only at that point in time because you made a decision on you liked this couch. But how different would that experience be is if, and everybody knows a Jeep driver, normally Jeep Wranglers, but if you know somebody who drives a Jeep Wrangler, you know that there's a bro code and they all wave at each other when they drive by. If you don't know anyone who drives a Jeep Wrangler, they all have a bro code and they all wave to each other as they drive by. So how different would the experience be if I went to Art Van driving my Jeep Wrangler, which I don't own, but if I did, pulled up to Art Van in a Jeep Wrangler and this salesperson walked up to me and said, hey, you have a purple Jeep Wrangler, I have an orange one. Really? What year is it? Mine's a 2017. What's yours? 2018. And all of a sudden we started talking about Jeep Wranglers. So now when he asks me, what are you looking for today? I I feel comfortable saying couches because I have something in common with this person. I have a reason to trust him. He's a fellow who drives a Jeep Wrangler just like me. And a lot of times on social media, we forget that we have to bridge that gap. We have to somehow create a connection with our audience that makes them want to trust us, makes them want to engage with us. So start thinking about whatever your hobbies are, whatever your niches are. That's how you're going to gain people who trust you. Do you do yoga? Do you eat healthy? Do you read a lot of books? Whatever your niche is, that's what you're going to show and present on social media along with your business so that people have a reason to trust you. For instance, I use my dogs. Anybody who has a dog understands that four-legged little friends are like little children. And anybody who babies their dogs like I do understands that and has that immediate connection to me because they realize that I'm a fellow animal lover. So all of a sudden I have something in common with them. So next thing I know that they have been looking for a house because we were talking about dogs and now all of a sudden we're on houses, and that's how our business works. So start thinking about what your niches are. What are your things that you can start connecting with people and showing on social media that will make people want to engage and trust you? My screen stopped. No, still doesn't want to work. 1 second. I changed my pointer, and that arrow's going to stay there. You guys see this arrow right here? I don't know why it stayed, but it's going to stay there. So just, you just take a peek at all those graphs. Good thing that will line up for most of the PowerPoint. All right, so we're going to talk specifically just about Facebook right now. Facebook is online profiles that connects friends, families, coworkers, clients. You share dislikes, you share likes, you share interesting subject matters, status updates, photos. 54% of browsers use social media to research products. And so this is a couple things about Facebook. So right now you guys have probably lived on Facebook. Probably the first thing you did this morning was you opened up your Facebook and you checked what was going on in the world, because right now, every day in our world, things are changing. And so the subject matter is a little more important, a little more heavy. And that's why we're turning to social media to see what other people are doing. Have they gotten creative in their quarantine and they've did something fun that maybe I should try at home? So Facebook and social media has become a very important place for us currently. Always has been, but I think we've put a bigger weight, there's a bigger weight on it right now. 54% of browsers, like we talked about, use social media to research products. This is another huge thing. When we talk about your business page, we want to make sure that you have reviews on there. And we'll talk about how to get reviews in the second half of this class. But people have learned that when they go to Yelp, when they go to Google, those reviews can be made up. And that's a really hard pill for them to swallow. So those reviews being made up, because we've learned that these companies have people that they pay to utilize their social media. And when that happens, they put on these reviews that if you track and if you go and look at that person who reviewed it, they've reviewed about 10 other businesses across the country. And it's because they are paid to do that. So people have learned that if we go to Facebook or if we go to social media, you can't fake the reviews, because the reviews come right from a user that I can see whether or not they're real very quickly. So I'm sure you've done this yourself, have been scrolling through social media and you've seen an ad for something, and then you go and look and research that product there to see whether or not it's a scam or if it's real. So keep that in mind, that your reviews on Facebook and social media in general are really, really important, not just on Zillow, not just on Google or wherever else you have reviews. Social media is very important. Facebook also has an algorithm that tracks your engagement, and we'll talk a little bit more about that in the next slideshow. Sorry, I just got a text from my boss and it always makes me nervous. The algorithm that Facebook uses it's a score. So based on how much writing you have, if it's longer than 4 sentences, you automatically get a lower score. It tracks how many shares, likes, comments you have on that post, and how much engagement your posts get to then score your future ones based on previous behavior as well. The more interaction you get is the better score, so that it's seen by more people. It checks out tag words that you use, and that adds to your score of that algorithm. And what that score does is it tells Facebook how many people it should really be in front of. The lower your score is, the less people who are going to see your post. The better your score, the more people who are going to see your post. So keep that in mind when we talk about, on the next screen, we'll talk about some things to post and how to post. Keep that in mind, that score is going to be really important. We're utilizing Facebook to build reach. It's not only to build reach, it's to remind people what we do for a living, but building reach is how we're going to capture new lead generation from it. Still no questions? These are really making me sad. You guys must all be like,
I know, no questions here. It's crazy.
I know, it's really sad. I feel like I'm losing them. So promoting when it comes on Facebook, this is the only part that you guys care about, right? You guys don't care about how it works or the algorithm. You just want to know how to promote on Facebook. So your profiles should share and exchange information about yourself and your business. This is the hardest one for people to do. I can tell you this every single day, and this is still going to be hard for the average real estate agent to do. You are not just going to be posting your listings. You are not just going to be posting about your sales, about your clients. You need to post about your personal stuff. People want to know about you. You have to be human. You're not some super real estate agent that's just only doing real estate. You have to mix in and give them something that they want to be nosy about. And that may mean that I may take a picture of my 2 pups in the car when I go pick up a Starbucks coffee, because I'm getting ready to go out and show some houses. So taking the pups out for a drive before showing houses all day. I'm showing them information about just me while still sliding in there that I'm still in real estate. But it had nothing to do with my listings or my sales or my clients. It had to do with my dogs. You got to see 2 cute little puppies driving in the car and a Starbucks coffee. So keep in mind that you want to be sharing information about yourself and not just your business. Identify with people with something that people can relate to. So this is where we talked about, when I talked about the art van example. You have to somehow bridge that gap between yourself and the general public out there. You want to demonstrate a work environment. So that may mean today your work environment looks a lot different. It may be sweatpants and kids running around the house, or a lot of noise in the background. Demonstrate that work environment. Show people what is going on. And you want to keep reminding them what you do for a living. As an agent, you guys, every single one of us have been or will be in the situation where you sit down with your best friend at the bar and they go, "Oh, my brother just bought a house yesterday." What do you mean your brother just bought a house yesterday? Yeah, my brother he closed on it yesterday. That's odd. I didn't see your brother yesterday. I didn't close with your brother yet. Who did he buy a house through? Oh, he just called the listing agent. Why would he do that? Oh, you know what? I totally forgot you were in real estate. What? We've all been in the situation where somebody forgot that we were in real estate. Somebody that we are close to bought from somebody else. There's no reason to be mad. It just means that fault on us for not reminding them enough that this is what we do for a living. We've all been in the situation where we get the phone call, "Hey, are you still in real estate? Did you quit your job?" No, I didn't. Then I didn't quit mine. But because our industry has such a high turnover rate, people tend to think we quit. People tend to think that we're out of the business. It phases a lot of people out. So we have to stay relevant. We have to keep reminding people that this is what we do for a living, but we can't do it by just shoving down listings and just shoving sales in their face. We have to do it in that way that demonstrates who we are and demonstrates our work environment without shoving, "I'm in real estate" all the time. Okay. So we want to share relevant content, things that they might be interested in. How can they increase the value of their home? How can they prepare for a sale? How can they prepare to buy? Relevant content to whatever your sphere of influence is most looking for. Maybe it's how to downsize. Maybe it's how to, one of the biggest things from somebody who's downsizing is, well, I gotta wait until I tidy everything up or clear out a little bit before I move, because they've accumulated so much stuff over the years. So maybe our relevant content is how they can purge their house, how they can get rid of things, maybe a checklist that they need to go through in order to clear house, and then that way they're ready to sell and downsize the way they've really been wanting to, but really just felt overwhelmed for so long. Or maybe it's a contact that allows them that will come to your house and help them reorganize and help them purge a little bit. So think about wherever your friends are, where's your sphere at? What do they need that's going to be relevant content? We're going to talk about success stories on promoting on Facebook, and you're going to talk about failures. It's okay to be real and fail, and it's okay to talk about those things. It's okay to talk about the client who, went out and bought a new car right before they were supposed to buy a new house and then couldn't buy their new house. Even though you had that conversation with them, they thought they were above it. It happens. Talk about it. Why? Because somebody else is going to learn from it. Again, we want to talk about personal and professional branding. So those are very, very blended lines with us as real estate agents. And whatever I'm sharing on my business page, I also can share to my personal page. So if it's content that's just real estate really related, I may just share that from my business page. But sometimes I post some things that should be only on my personal page on my business page. Why? Because that's what keeps people engaged. Photos, videos, and GIFs are really important. People are really, really clinging to that visual content rather than the written content. They want to see that. They want things to come to life. They want to be visually engaged. We want to engage with other pages. That's another big thing. Someone once asked me if engaging with other people gave you a better score to be seen by more people on Facebook. The short answer to that is no. The long answer to that is the more I engage with other people is the more they're comfortable engaging with me, which therefore betters my business. So is there a direct correlation? No. An indirect correlation? Yes. I can engage with other pages. So Chris Ford, who used to teach this class and is amazing at it, she always talked about how she engaged with the fire department, the police department. And the more she engaged with them is that they would see her face so much. So when those guys thought of real estate, they thought of her. Or when they thought of her, they thought of real estate. And that's the key. So she would talk about how awesome they are or tag them in some things. And she became that person for those people on those pages because she was engaging with them. And we also want to make sure that anytime we're talking on Facebook or promoting on Facebook, that it's a this or that. It's never just, this is what I ate for lunch. It has to be a, oh my gosh, can you believe I just ate this squid for lunch? It was so sticky and slimy. Is anybody else grossed out? I have to ask something. I have to engage with them. I have to give it a this or that. Hopefully that's kind of explanatory because again, normally in person, this class is a little bit different because you can ask a lot of questions and stop me along the way. So here is a graph of what's going on, like your hotspots, the highest times to check out and post on social media. And you can see that Wednesday and Thursday are pretty much your hottest days, right? Wednesday, everyone's bored. It's the middle of the week. They're looking forward to the weekend. It's been too long since the last weekend. And then Thursday afternoon is really a hot time because everybody's looking for what you're doing over the weekend. And you can see Saturday and Sunday are super quiet on social media globally. And that's because everybody's out there on Saturday and Sunday creating these memories for what they're going to post all week. So Wednesday and Thursday, you're being nosy, you're checking it out. Monday, you're checking out what people did on Saturday and Sunday. You're checking out what they did over the weekend. Tuesday, you're still kind of catching up. Wednesday and Thursday, you're preparing for the weekend. So keep this in mind when you guys are posting to social media. This is when you're going to post. However, right now, this heat map is not as accurate because right now it's a lot more dark blue all over. Everybody is being dependent on social media. So if you're going to start posting, now's the time to get out there. Now's the time to really start getting in front of people so that you can create a pipeline that you can use as soon as everything is lifted and we're heading back into what we think will be our new normal life. Make sure both your professional and personal pages represent real estate. We want to make sure that when people see those pages on any social media site or platform, they know we're in real estate. If you look up even my chat rooms, like WhatsApp is a chat platform that allows you to connect, and it links with Facebook. It has a lot of really cool features. Even if you look there on a weekly basis, you are going to know that I'm in real estate because something in my profile says that I'm doing real estate. If someone just searches me on WhatsApp, you know that I'm a real estate professional who sells because that's what it says in there. So no matter where somebody goes to find me, they know that I'm in real estate. You want to make sure you're personally branding yourself. Sell more than just your listings. Obviously, we talked about content is important, and use hashtags. I don't put such a heavy emphasis on using hashtags on Facebook. I put a heavy emphasis on using hashtags on Instagram and Twitter. Facebook, it will still broaden your reach. However, on Instagram, they're a lot more important. On other platforms, they get less and less important, but Instagram, their importance is incredibly high. But if you're cross posting, so if we're posting, for example, if we post to Instagram, when I post to Instagram, I can directly post to Twitter and Facebook automatically. So that's where hashtags become even more important, and they are utilized, and it does build your reach. So in each post, I tell people, especially if you're cross posting, to have 15 to 20 hashtags, because that way when you come up with 10, you've increased your reach. However, you should have 15 to 20 hashtags per post on Instagram. And if you're cross posting, it's going to go here, and that's a good thing as well. Never post more than one paragraph. I get beat up on this every class, so I'm glad you guys have to be silent for this. Don't post more than one paragraph. 4 sentences. Number 1, it lowers your algorithm. Number 2, don't argue with me that like people read it and you had so many comments. People didn't read it. They read the first 4 sentences and then the last 4 sentences. They made sure no one died in the middle. That's it. They didn't care about what Susie did or ate for lunch. Even if it's a really good one, you read the first 4 sentences, you scan the middle, and then you read the last 3 that say copy and paste and share this. No one reads all of it. I'm so sorry. I hate to tell you. Now, doesn't mean that you can't do it. I've posted more than 1 paragraph before, but I also knew that no one was going to read it. It was for my own self letting things go type of post. It had nothing to do with trying to build anything. It was just, I was trying to make it short and sweet, and it was more than 4 sentences. Try to keep it as little written content as possible. Be creative. Find big words. Condense as many sentences as you can. If it sounds redundant, don't write it again. You're gonna have to get creative to make it less than a paragraph. Never post more than 1 time in the same hour. I don't want to see what you ate for breakfast and then what you ate for lunch 20 minutes later. You're gonna get old. I will hide you. It's just part of it. So don't post more than the same hour. It doesn't mean you can't post more than once in a day. I don't strongly recommend it. Now, this doesn't mean you can't post to your story more than once a day. That you can post all day long, multiple times a day. And your stories are at the top, and I'll go in depth in the hands-on portion. But don't post on your actual page. Your stories can be different than what's on your newsfeed post. So keep that in mind as well. Don't ever ask for business. We didn't, years ago, we never trusted the used car salesman who was like, oh, hey, call me today, I'll sell you a car. We didn't trust you back then, and we're not trusting you now. So don't ask for business. Don't tell people that you're in the office and to call you because you'll buy or sell their home. No one's going to call you because they feel like you might sell your mom to them for like $1. They don't trust you. Don't ever ask for business. It's a privilege for those customers or that consumer to work with you because you're the professional. And you have to somehow display that when it comes to your social media. It's a privilege for that consumer to work with you because you're the professional in that area. And we want to make sure that we're displaying that when it comes to social media. And don't ever make it a one-way conversation like we talked about. We want to give people the call to action. We want to tell them what to do. We want to somehow get them to engage. Ask them a question. Make a suggestion to them. Ask for suggestions back. There's a lot of ways to get engagement. All right, any questions on Facebook? There's a lot of information. No questions. Okay, I'll move on to Instagram. So Instagram, again, you need a professional page. And if you have a personal page, good for you. You don't have, this is the great thing about Instagram. You do not have to have a personal page in order to have a professional page. Now, if I ask you, how do you know your page is professional? The only way you will know is if you've linked your Instagram to your professional business page on Facebook. Once that connection is made, Instagram automatically converts your page to a professional page, no longer a personal page. What that means is it's going to then tell you the insights about your posts and how they're doing on Instagram. Online profiles connect friends, family, coworkers, clients. And this is the only part where it's different than Facebook with Instagram. It connects followers to content that interests the user. So Instagram, the hashtags are incredibly important here because a lot of people use and follow those hashtags. For instance, one thing that you guys all might know about is when Kobe Bryant died, hashtag Kobe Bryant. Those were big hashtags that people followed that content because they wanted to see memorabilia and memories that people had from him. So it connected followers to content that interested them, right? So Kobe Bryant and the hashtag Kobe, or the hundreds of thousands of hashtags that were made for him, that connected the user who was interested in Kobe Bryant to that content, is that hashtag. Instagram shares photos, videos, GIFs, and stories for visual content. One of the big differences between Facebook and Instagram is purely visual. Facebook still has that verbal content, and people are getting away from it. The younger generation is just kicking anything with communication of words to the side, and they just want visual. They want quick videos. If you have kids who are on TikTok, and if you've denied them TikTok, then they're behind the times because TikTok is that visual content with quick stories. There's no verbal. If you're looking at the content that they're putting, the verbal content that they're putting in there, it is like one sentence or 3 words. And their views are astronomical. Their views are north of millions of views. Their likes are north of millions of likes. And there's nothing really to it, but it's visual content, and that's what people want. Instagram have stories. 33% of the most viewed stories are from businesses. And here's one of the reasons behind that is because people can't get enough of the self-destructive material. So those stories go away after 24 hours. And God forbid, if I don't watch it, I may never know what you posted in your story. And for businesses, a lot of times maybe there's a giveaway or there's a coupon code or something's going on that they're announcing, and it's only in that story. They're not posting it necessarily to their Instagram page. They're only posting it to their story. And that's what makes it valuable. And that's what makes it something that I can't get back. If I don't view it now, I'll never see it. And so that makes it really important for the consumer. The most used hashtag of 2019 was hashtag love. I think it had over 3.5 million posts. And that's just a hashtag that you can throw in on all of your posts. Hashtags don't have to be complicated. They sometimes don't necessarily have to make sense. It's just where you want your content to show up. We talk about branding yourself. So this is important when it comes to hashtags as well. I'm going to go off on a tangent and then I'll link it back to hashtags. So when I started my business, I started and branded myself as Brandy Brings You Home. Reason being is my last name is really complicated. It sounds really easy, but it's not. It's Ullom. And even though I said it very slow and pronounced it correctly, you guys will not. And that's okay. I understand that. I've spent my whole 30 years knowing that nobody can pronounce my last name. And if I spell it for you, it's Ullom. If you were to see that on a piece of paper, you'd have no idea how to pronounce it. And even if I asked you to repeat the spelling to me, you wouldn't be able to. You would throw in an extra U, you would throw in a W, an A. This is all over the board. Plus, being a woman, I knew that it could change. So when I branded myself, I branded Brandy Brings You Home for that reason. I didn't want to be connected to a last name. I wanted just Brandy Brings You Home. So the hashtag that one of the hashtags that I use on all of my posts is hashtag Brandy Brings You Home. Why? Because I'm building content on a hashtag that maybe one day would get a following. And that's really important, that I'm building a brand, I'm building a following there. So make sure that whatever hashtags you're using, not only are they big, for instance, where they have a lot of posts and a lot of following, but maybe they're the branded content that is just you, and maybe it only has 1 or 2 posts right now, but eventually one day it will have a couple hundred posts. It'll have a couple thousand posts because you're going to build that brand yourself. Instagram is the second most engaged network behind Facebook, with more than 60% of its users logging in daily. And that's huge, 60% of users. So 6 out of 10 people are logging in daily to check out the content there. That's quite an audience, especially the larger your following gets. We already talked about how 1/3 of the most viewed stories are from businesses. Here's your heat map with Instagram again. Again, Wednesday, everyone's bored. Friday, they're checking out what's going on for the weekend. Saturday and Sunday, they are making memories. And then Monday at evening, they are checking to see what everyone did. So there's your heat map of when you should be posting. Instagram, again, it's one of those that right now, everybody is on it. So even though these heat maps are for normal usage, right now we're in abnormal usage. So you have the entire world at your fingertips, because right now our entire country and our state is home doing what? Checking out social media. Because even if they're taking classes like this, I guarantee all of you guys have checked your Facebook, Instagram, or something else at some point in time during this class. It's no offense, I understand. I know it's important and the world is changing, but just keep in mind that if you're doing it, everybody else is doing it. So you need to be thinking of the content that you can put out there. Brand your hashtags and use them wisely. So what I mean is, don't put all 20 hashtags at the end of your content. Type up your comment or your verbiage in a different app. Use your ... and put your content down below. I'll show you an example of that in the hands-on portion. But the average consumer doesn't want to see all your hashtags. It gets overwhelming to them. So if we can hide them, make them invisible in the photo somewhere, that's really important, because then our reach is still getting bigger, but we're not overloading the consumer with so many hashtags. Post your stories. Stories, again, users can't get enough of the time-sensitive, self-destructive content. It's really important. Optimize your bio. Optimize your bio on all platforms. What this means is, if I go to any platform of yours on social media, I should know you're in real estate. I should know you're obsessed with real estate. I should know that if I think of real estate, I need to think of you. So optimize the bio. Use as much as, connect as many accounts as you can. Utilize it as much as you want to make sure you're reminding people that you're in real estate. Include your call to action captions. So tell them what to do, tell them to call you, tell them to message you, tell them to ask for more details. Those are your call to action. Make sure you're telling them what to do. Again, we want to make sure that we're actively engaging with other accounts, and you want to make yourself human. This is across social media. We want to make sure that we're being authentic, we're being real, we're making ourselves human here. Oh, no question. You guys are killing me. Okay, I do have a question. This is so exciting. Would you post these on a business page first with share to your personal page? Yes. Yes, you can always post to your business page and then share to your personal page. That is, oh, I already answered it. That's really upsetting. Thanks, Lori. Please keep questions coming. It's really nice to answer questions, and you guys will have a lot on the hands-on portion, and that's probably I'm sure I'll get a lot of questions. If not, if you guys really want, I can open up unmute you. And then if you guys want to verbally ask them, if that's what you're more comfortable with. If that is something you're more comfortable with, just comment in the questions box that that's what you want, and I can do it that way. Otherwise, we're going to move on to Twitter. So Twitter, again, we talked about at the very beginning of class that this is a platform that's not huge in our area. However, it's bigger in other marketplaces, especially fast-paced marketplaces. So if I go to New York, California, Miami, big marketplaces, right? I'm going to see that a lot of people are on Twitter, especially like DC. And I can't talk about Twitter without talking about our president. So whether you love him or hate him, I don't care. However, our president loves Twitter, and he's very good at it. Social media is a business. It's a way to build your business. It's a way to build your brand. And I was taught that a long time ago when I was a nanny before I got into real estate. I was a nanny for a lot of high-profile families, and one of the families that I worked for was a professional athlete. And at the time, he would tweet all the time. Twitter had just came out. It was just a big thing. And he tweeted nonstop. And one day we were all standing in the kitchen, and I'm holding his little girl, one of his little girls. And he goes, "Do you tweet?" And I'm like, "No." Before I got into real estate, I had no social media. So I had nothing. I refused to get on it. I vetoed it so hard it wasn't even funny. But I also dedicated my life to the families that I worked for. Some of the families that I worked for, I was on staff 144 hours a week. And if you can't do the math, that means I had 24 hours to myself. And it was just a lot. So it's not like I caught up with friends, and I had no interest in being friends with somebody I went to high school with at the time. And I just was hard set on not having social media. So when he kept asking me if I tweeted, I kept looking at him equally. Like, he looked at me like I was dumb for not tweeting, and I looked at him like he was dumb for tweeting. And at one point he goes, "You just don't understand business." And I said, "You're doing that for fun. It has nothing to do with your business." I'm like, "You're a professional athlete. You go out and you play basketball and then you come home. Like, what do you need to tweet for your business?" And he goes, "That's where I know that you're not a business person." And he made me think so far outside the box when he said that. And I thought, no, I am too. I'm actually very smart. Explain what that means. And he said that one day his body would run out and he wouldn't be able to play basketball anymore. But his name was his brand, and he had to build that name somehow and keep it so that when people thought of success or people thought of the NBA, they thought of him. And the way to do that, and the way to touch so many people, and the way to connect with people, was through tweeting and Twitter and making himself relevant. And so what would happen is when the game was over, he would get companies who wanted him to be a sponsor for them. And his business would then continue by riding out on the coattails of his name. But he did this and built this through having a large following on Twitter, and now since Instagram and other platforms. And at the time, I didn't understand it. Now, today I do. And looking at it, our president utilizes this to an extreme. And like I said, whether you love him or hate him, he knows how to use Twitter. He knows how to make himself relevant, whether you're bad mouthing him or, commending him. He knows how to make sure that he is talked about and that he is relevant. And for that, he's the first thing we talk about in the morning because he tweeted something ridiculous, or he's the last thing we went to bed talking about because he tweeted something amazing. It doesn't matter what our reaction to it. He utilizes this as a business so that we talk about him. And even though I've said it's not relevant in our area, it doesn't mean that somebody who eventually may move to our area won't utilize this. And it's a lot easier to just cross post and build content there so it sits there. And maybe one day when somebody is looking and utilizes that platform, we have a platform already built with content rather than trying to scramble to create something, because these potential users are looking to find their agent through it. So I need you guys to think of social media as a business, and it's a way to make people recognize you or your name when it comes to real estate. And that's what we're utilizing social media for. Not just Twitter. It's just, that was when the example came up because that's what he utilized, and that's what our president utilizes. And that is what has made him successful in us talking about him, because he tweets things all the time. So Twitter first started years ago as a way to get informational content. So a way for the news to be broadcasted out in short little snippets. And originally you only got 140 characters when you typed out a post. They have since increased it to 280 characters. So space really counts here. This is where you have to get creative with your taglines if you really want to utilize Twitter. It's just a way to do quick little shout outs here and there. One of the best things that I can suggest if you don't or are not comfortable with Twitter is just cross post from Instagram to Twitter. Let Instagram be the mule that takes the content over there and transitions it into Twitter. It's the easiest thing. That way your content is there. You don't have to baby it. You don't have to do anything specific to it. It just sits there for you. All tweets will appear in the feed of the people you're following, and the hashtags again allow you to reach a broader audience. It's to share facts, articles, viral conversations, photos. They now allow GIFs and videos. Anything over 280 characters will show up in a quick link that you can click on and open up the full post. So Twitter works like a different animal. However, because it cross posts so easily, I strongly suggest that you utilize it. I believe, so this screen is going to show you the different online platforms for the demographics. So whether it's YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest, LinkedIn, Snapchat, Twitter. The WhatsApp is the green one, and then the Reddit is the last one on there. It tells you obviously the percentage of adults, US adults, men to women, age groups, income, college, high school, education level. So I'll give you a second to look that over. But it's just going to break down. And again, this is really going to show you where is your niche market, where's your demographic, what's your sphere of influence really utilizing. If you have a big percentage of people that are on LinkedIn, then you have to know that your percentage on there is a higher percentage of making over $75,000 a year. And they most likely have graduated college, most likely with a 4-year degree, not a 2-year degree. So you have to you can weed through this and use it to your advantage of how to appeal to each group that utilizes each platform. But it really gives you the idea that there's a big difference in how each platform functions. And that's really my goal in sharing this, not to like anything else. I'm gonna move on. So hashtags we talked about over the class. Hashtags are, hashtags are in words or phrases led by the pound sign. They categorize your comments, your tweets. You can hide hashtags and use them in the caption. For instance, I could say, like if I was using the post of like taking the picture of my dogs while I go get a coffee and saying that I was taking the pups for a ride before showing houses all day, I could use hashtag ride in the middle of that sentence. I could use hashtag pups in the middle of that sentence so that I'm hiding a little bit of the hashtags and they're not so heavy in somebody's face. And I'll show you examples of that in the hands-on portion of this class. It's an effective way to create buzz. Again, brand your organization, your events, causes, listings, hashtag yourself. Again, like I hashtag Brandy brings you home. If your brand is your first and last name and then maybe Realtor at the end, use your hashtags for that. So hashtag Chris Ford Realtor. It's a way to create real-time conversations, create a broader reach, and then there's some examples of hashtags. So hashtag real estate, hashtag Realtor, hashtag new home, maybe hashtag hardwood floors, hashtag farm home, hashtag financial freedom. There's a lot of great hashtags out there that you can be utilizing. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and go into our hands-on portion. So I'm going to pull up Facebook here. Give me 1 minute. There it is. Oh. All right, so here I've logged into Facebook. I'm obviously on my personal page because I've logged in. I haven't clicked on my business page. The quickest way to always get to your business page, I know a lot of people go up to this little drop down arrow and then you can see all the pages that you manage and then your business page. There's also always the quick link right here. There's always a box on the right hand side that'll show you how many followers that you have, as well as your page that you can just click on. Once I get to my page, you can see a couple things that I want to go over. So number one is your cover photo. You can either do a video, you can do a slideshow, you can do just a plain photo, whatever you like, but make sure that it's content that draws people in. I made this video for free. I had got the licenses for the photos from Adobe, and then I looked for free licensed music that I could use in video advertisement, and I took the music from there. I put the wording over the top of the photos that I could use in video advertisement with the licenses that I have, and then put that together and posted it. So it was a free thing that I did that I just researched, what I could do. And that's the result of it. You don't have to have a video. It's just whatever you feel like you need. The one thing that I do want you guys to recognize is that I do have my brokerage in here. This was something super simple. I just did this in PowerPoint so that even if you search Brandy Brings You Home, you can see from this first page, there's my brokerage. So my brokerage is right there. No matter what, I can't get in trouble for advertising rules because my brokerage is visible at all points in time. The other thing I want you guys to make sure that you have is this @ sign. So this @ sign, if you don't have a name in here, it might say @create a name. That @ sign is how people are going to tag you. So for example, if you're out with buyers and you're on a buyer's tour, maybe the couple that you're with is active on social media. You could say, hey, do you mind tagging me on social media and saying that you're out on a buyer's tour? So they can say like, out looking for my dream home with @Brandy brings you home. And now their 1,500 friends can see that they're on a buyer's tour with me as their trusted agent. So this @ is how you're going to allow people to tag you or share your business page. With that said, 2 years ago, Facebook had a rule where you could only create one username and then you could never change it. That rule has since changed. However, social media is changing daily with their rules and regulations. And I would imagine that one day that will go back to the pick one and you don't get to change it ever again rule. So make sure when you brand it so that everything is consistent, whether it's your first and last name, whether it's a tagline, whatever it may be, make sure that it's very consistent on here. The other thing we want to talk about and make sure we have is the reviews. So reviews on here are incredibly important. And for me, I always get the question every class, how do we get people to review here? Because we have a million places that we need them to review. Like maybe your company sent out a review. Maybe you've asked them to review Zillow or Trulia or Realtor or wherever. So you have a lot of places that you're asking your buyer or seller to go and review things. I use Facebook as my 2-3 month checkup, right? So they've bought a house, they've sold their house. I've called to check in on them about 3 months later. I've asked them how Sally's doing in school, if they've painted that room that they wanted to paint, or if they put a new carpet, or what's going on. And then I say, you know what, while I have you on this phone, I do a lot of giveaways on my Facebook page, and I would love for you to win one of those gift cards, because I know with just buying a house that, you know what, things get expensive, and I do a lot of Home Depot giveaways. So why don't you go on my Facebook page and like my business page, and then while you're there, would you mind writing a review? And that way it gets them on there and it connects them to me. So I no longer have to worry about, you know, that retention of like, will they call me in 10 years when they're looking to sell their house? Well, yeah, because now I'm easy to find because they've reviewed me. So even if my brokerage changes or my phone number changes, I know that I have a direct connection to them. And that's how I check in with them. You could do it 1 year later. You could do it at any point in time that you feel comfortable to get them to review your page. Now, that there's no way for you to copy and paste a review from Zillow on here. They have to write it themselves. So you can see Jacqueline wrote a review on here, and I can click on Jacqueline's page and get right to her. So that's how we know that they're real people, and that's what the consumer is looking for when they're looking at those reviews on here. So make sure we have reviews on our page. They're not all going to show up. Like you can see I have like 11 reviews, and they don't all show up right here unless I, you know, dig farther into it. But it'll show them the most relevant or whatever, however it orders them. The other thing I want to make sure that you guys have is this about me story. It might be what says, it might say my story or your story here if you don't have one in there already. But this is where you get to put in a photo, and then you get to put in a little information about you. And I always tell agents and people in general to make this personal. Don't make this so rigid, and make it something that allows people to like see who you are. You want to be human in this spot. So if you don't have a story already right here, make sure that you click into here and add a story. You can edit it at any point in time, but make sure you put a story in there so people can kind of get to know who you are. The other thing that you guys can put in here is the button. So underneath your cover photo, there should be a call to action button, and it's either going to say call me, message me. Mine's a WhatsApp app, and I think if you're viewing this as a consumer, I think I actually might have 2 buttons here. If I hover over the top of this button, I can edit that button and change it to whatever I want. I have the WhatsApp because I have found that it's more likely that someone I don't know will message me there versus the Messenger app. just because then they have my phone number. For some reason, people like the WhatsApp. It communicates a lot easier. So like, for instance, if you're an Apple user, you know that you love other Apple users because it communicates really friendly. And that's how the WhatsApp works for any phone user. So if you're a Droid or an Apple user, it's super friendly. You can share photos and videos very easily. But that's where you're going to edit your button if you wanted to do so. So I am going to dive into, let's go to your settings. Nope, I lied. I'm going to go to publishing tools. So we're going to talk about creating a post. When you create a post, let's say you wanted to create a post with any of the 3 or 4 tools that I talked about earlier, which again, if we're talking about those tools in Paragon, they are going to be in your resources button. So in my resources, I can see there's Cloud CMA, there's Market Stats, and List Track right above it. Sorry, I'm blind as a bat. So those are my 3 tools when I'm in here. And in order to share anything out, I'm just going to go in there, but I wanted to at least show you where they were located. So again, they're in your resources, which is your little sandbox, and this is where all your toys are, okay? And if I wanted to create a post, one of the biggest questions I get is how much time should I really be dedicating to social media? Because this is something that could take over your life if you really wanted it to, and I don't think that it needs to. I think you should take 2 hours on a Monday morning and sit down and plan out all of your posts for the week. And then you're going to spend Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday finding content for the next Monday for you to sit down and create all of your posts for the week. So how do you publish things for the future? Because see, I can publish out posts for the future and then not have to touch them and they'll post automatically. So in order to do that, there's a white, so you have your blue bar at the very top, and that's where your Facebook, your search bar, and you can see all of this, all these little tabs up here. Underneath that, you have a white bar. The white bar is how you're going to control your business page. So I'm going to go to publishing tools. Eventually, it will get there. Once I'm in publishing tools, I'm going to go to scheduled posts on the left-hand side. And if I go to scheduled posts, you'll see that I don't have any in here right now. But there's a little blue button that says a plus sign and create up at the top. And I'm going to click that little blue button. And this is how I'm going to post out a scheduled post. So this is, oh, that's cool. That's new. Look, I can post to Instagram. That's awesome. That's new. Anyways, so I can create a post and this will schedule it out. So one of my tricks for closings is the day of closing, I may take a picture with a client and say, you know, congratulations, like they just closed on their beautiful home, you know, this, that, and another thing. And normally what I do on that same day is I'll schedule a post out for 1 year later. And what that post will say is, happy anniversary. I can't believe you've just spent 1 year in your first home. Congratulations. I hope it has been filled with nothing but memories, and I'm wishing you many more years there. So 1 year later, that post will come out and tag my buyers, and my buyers think I am the greatest agent since sliced bread because I remembered their 1 year anniversary. I didn't, but Facebook did, and now I'm the best agent in the world. And that allows you to actually take it one step farther, because for some clients, I've happened to have a bottle of champagne in my fridge and I've dropped it off on their front porch because Facebook reminded me that 1 year ago today, they bought a house. So all I have to do is create that post. Hey everyone, whatever my post wanted to be, I just click schedule. Well, obviously now you can you can share to Instagram. I have to log into mine because this is a new feature, which is very cool and very fun. But I'm just going to click schedule a post. And when I click schedule post, I can create a custom date and time. Super easy. And that's how you're going to schedule out your post for the entire week. So again, 2 hours on a Monday morning, schedule out your post for the entire week, then you're done. Any questions there? No questions. Okay, very sad. So I'm going to close out of this. The next place I want you guys to go to is your settings. Again, we want to go to our business page settings and not our Facebook page settings. Business page is always in the white bar. So business page settings. And then we are going to go to, let's go to Instagram first. So Instagram on the left-hand side, close to the bottom, we're going to click on that Instagram tab. And this is how you're going to know if your Instagram page is connected. So if yours does not show your Instagram photo and things like that there, you are going to have to log into your Instagram. So you're just going to click connect and then log into Instagram, and that's how it will show up. I'll give you guys like a second to do that if that's what you're doing. Is everyone following and keeping up? Do I need to slow down, speed up? Everyone good? And take that as a yes. Or you guys are all on Facebook and Instagram and I've completely lost you and you guys are scrolling through the news feed. So hopefully you've linked your Instagram profile. At this point in time, if you've linked it, know that your Instagram is going to convert over to a professional page now. The only difference in that is it's going to show you the insights on your posts and how well they're producing, how many people are seeing them. The next one that I want you guys to go to, which is another cool new feature that Facebook has updated lately, is you can add the WhatsApp or the WhatsApp. And this is just to me, this is an AOL on steroids. It's like a modern day AOL on steroids. You can connect with anybody at any point in time. And you just connect the app. It connects to your phone number and it gives you the ability to text people. I'll pull up my phone here when we get to the Instagram portion and I'll show you this half or like this app on here. But if you wanted to connect it, this is where you would do so. You can see that I use my WhatsApp button on my page and I show my WhatsApp number on my page as well, which is, it's my phone number. You don't have to use your direct phone number. I do though. So it just depends on how you have your WhatsApp set up. The next thing I want you guys to go to is the messaging. It's at the very top, third one down. I know I'm going out of order, but there's a reason I'm doing it that way. Okay, so messaging. In this messaging, there's a couple settings that you guys can set just for general usage of how you want your messaging to function. One thing I want you guys to utilize is the start messenger conversation. So when you go to my Facebook page, it will automatically pop up with a chat that says, hey, how are you? And the reason I made it so casual is because I wanted people to actually think that I took the time to write you. Not that it was a generic message of like, hey, thanks for checking out my page. Let me know if you have any questions. I didn't want it to seem generic. I wanted people to feel like, whoa, did she actually just write me? Which is why I wrote it the way I wrote it. But you can edit it, change it, and turn it on at any point in time. You can, down below, you can add Messenger to your website. This is an advanced option, but it's very cool. I absolutely love it. And I will show you it right here. So if I go to my website, you'll see down at the bottom, this little instant messenger button showed up and it says, hey, how are you? So when you go to my website, Facebook pops up right in here. Now this is a very it's not complicated. It's a little advanced. So if you wanted to do it, Facebook walks you through 3 easy steps. When you click get started, it walks you through 3 easy steps. You design what you want it to look like. You design the colors behind it, everything like that. And then on your website, you just copy and paste the link or the code into how the page functions. And that's the only part that's a little advanced. If you design your own web page, then it should be really easy. If you don't, if you have somebody do it for you, I know how Squarespace works because that's who I have my websites through. But most of them function the same way. You just have to find where to put it. And normally if you Google where to put it, you can find it easily. But it is a really cool feature if you guys wanted to add it. Underneath that, you can do during an automated response setup. So if somebody does respond to that, hey, how are you? They'll then get a message that says, we try to respond as timely as possible. Please be patient and I'll respond as quickly as I can. Something along those lines. But in order to set that up, you're just going to click the setup button and it'll walk you through all the steps that you need to in order to set that up. Okay, any questions there? Okay, a couple more things I want to point out. Page roles. If you guys have a team, obviously I don't know, I can't see anyone's face or anything like that, but if you have a team, this is where you can set up page roles. So you can give each person in your team a job or a task, assign a new role to the page and allow them certain abilities. So maybe you have an assistant that you want to answer people on here or do all the posting for you. This is where you can add them in as any of these roles in here, and each role allows them to do only certain tasks within the page. So it's kind of cool. If you have a team, you can do that. The templates and tabs setting, if I go here, this is how I'm going to design my home page. So when you go to your home page on the left hand side, there are all of these options or all of these tabs that the consumer can click on: post, reviews, videos, photos, events. I can move these around if I wanted to. I can edit the settings. I can take them out completely. Like if I didn't want, say I didn't want fundraisers on here, I can completely take this out and not have it in here. It's completely up to you, but this is how you're going to design that home page in here. Okay. I think that covers all of my settings for Facebook. Do you guys have any questions on here before I move to Instagram? No. Okay. Well, I'm going to jump to Instagram and let's see. Give me a second to pull up my phone here. Okay. It's interesting. Okay, so you guys should be able to see my phone, right? You guys all can see this. Let's hope so. All right, so on this page where all of my social media is, you guys can see Instagram. And when I log into Instagram, you can see that we've logged in. We can see the news feed here, right? As we go through all of the visual content right here. And I always recommend people to follow other agents, follow hashtags that they're interested in, follow the influencers that they like, and see what other people are doing for their Instagram that makes them successful. Because really that's going to be things that you want to mirror, right? So even if it has nothing to do with real estate, for instance, like I follow Kevin Hart, I follow trainers in the area that are very successful on social media, and I take the things that they do and convert them into real estate. And sometimes if we're lacking creativity, that's the best way to do it. So you can see on the newsfeed, obviously this is all visual. At the very top, you could see stories. So these little circles, these are stories that people have posted. And I always use Dave Thomas as my example lately because he's done such a great job of building a really good following on social media. So I'll share his story and pay attention to how much personal content he has and how much real estate content that he has. So he talks about, in fact, this might be the only one today, but he talks about his little girl. And then AdWorks, that was the only thing he's posted for his story this morning. Normally by noon, he's a lot better off and sharing a lot more, but we'll look up Dave Thomas. Okay, so Dave Thomas real estate. So I can see that his story had nothing to do with what is on his Instagram page. So in fact, the last class that I used him as an example got this story and then a lot of other pictures of his little girl and what they were doing for the day, or little girls in his family and what they were doing for the day. But you can see like this is his Instagram page that he had posted the other day. A lot of just solds, a lot of some personal content, like here is his family. So it's really a mix of everything that's going on. You know, here's a pending, here's a just listed. He does a lot of just listeds, which I would love to yell at him to tell him to get away from that, but I'm not going to. He hasn't taken my class yet. But you can also see that there's some personal information in there, and he does a lot of personal on his stories, which is really important. So here's our homepage. And then again, all of those stories, he does a lot of training videos. You can see that this is a TikTok video that they did of probably one of his clients that's training. It'll eventually, here's a pep talk that he probably gave that morning. And then some things that he's doing just because he can't be in the gym working out as a trainer. So his training all has to be via social media. I forgot a couple things. Oh, one of the things I wanted to show you was how to utilize hashtags. Chris, as a trainer, does a great job of utilizing hashtags, and his following has grown tremendously. He now has 13,000 followers. So originally when I started watching Chris May years ago, 2 or 3 years ago, he probably had a couple hundred. He has grown this. I watched him now on Channel 7 as one of the top trainers in the area, but he has done this just by utilizing social media. And I know a lot of people always yell at me, this has nothing to do with real estate. It doesn't, but it shows you somebody who's successful with social media and how to be successful with it. So even when I scroll through here, I can see that he has a lot of training videos, but he also does personal content. So photos of his family, his wife and kids. He really mixes it up, and that's what gives the consumer the want to follow him. But what I want to show you is how he utilizes his hashtags. So I went away. One of the examples, if I can get to it again. I want to get to when gyms were actually open, not closed. Let's see, there was one that I wanted. We'll see if this is one. So right here, I can see that his content was up above. It says obstacles don't have to stop you. Figure out how to go through them, climb over them, or work around. 100%. And it's quoted a quote from Michael Jordan. He also tagged somebody, the person who's in the photo, and then all of his hashtags are down below. So you can see he utilized this ... And what he did was he typed up that content in maybe a different app like the Notepad, and he copied and pasted it in here because Instagram does not allow you to use the return button and do the ... You have to type this up in a different program and then copy and paste it here. Okay. I can see that his content when I first look at it, this is all his content is. It's short, sweet, and to the point. And if I click that more button, that's where all of these are, okay? If I want to, let's see, stop for just a second. If I want to, I'll show you something, just give me 1 minute. If I want to create, play. Okay, so now you can see my screen again. So if I want to create a post, and let's say social media for marketing, this was a post that I was going to create, but I want to put a hashtag on it. Actually, let's do it this way. Let's say you're out and about and you want to take a photo of something that's going on. So you guys can see my screen, everything that's happening here. So let's just say I wanted to take this photo. I can add hashtags just by utilizing at, and then I can type in Realtor, and you can see that it is doing it right for me. I can hide this in here, and I can change the color. I can change the size. I can change the hashtag Realtor Life. I can make it blend in by just hitting that little dot and then clicking the color here. So when I hit done, you can see it blends in right in that screen area where I picked the color. So there's ways to hide it so that people don't, I mean, obviously that was a crappy place to hide it, but the example is that you can hide hashtags, you can put them in there so that the hashtags don't become overwhelming for somebody. I can also tag an @ sign, and I could tag Brandy brings you home. Okay, and I can tag that in there and hide it within that photo so that, again, it's not overwhelming, but I'm broadening my reach. Does that make sense? Does everybody know about this already? Everyone's good? You guys are a really quiet class. Okay. When it comes to hashtags and posting a post, so if I'm creating a post, let's just say I'm going to use my social media marketing for agents post, right? This is where it asks me if I want to change the color on it, maybe the filter. I'm not going to for the sake of this. This is where I can write my caption. Again, this is where I can't use the ... I would have to copy and paste it in here. But if I was looking to add hashtags, I can see the hashtags, obviously hashtags that I've used lately. So hashtag love has 1.7 billion posts. Hashtag real estate has 3.5 million posts. As I start typing, TikTok has 42.5 million posts, which is pretty impressive. So as I start typing, it's gonna filter through some of the hashtags that are most used. If I find it that I like one, all I have to do is click it and it'll be built into that comment there. So I can utilize hashtag TikTok if I wanted. If you guys don't know what that app is, I strongly recommend downloading it and playing it, and just know that it's going to be highly addictive. I've utilized it for 2 years and watched it slowly change and slowly grow. It has been incredibly impressive. The views are astronomical, and I am super excited to watch the first real estate agents be very popular on it because I know it's going to happen. It's just a matter of time. But the other thing I want to point out is this is where you can cross post. So you can see down here that there's 2 toggles, Facebook and Twitter. All I have to do is turn on that toggle and it's going to automatically post to Twitter. So when my Instagram post goes out to Twitter, it's very simple. It automatically posts for me. So if I open up Twitter, oh look, Tiger King. If I go to my profile, you can see my tweets automatically came over from Instagram and that they've automatically condensed to the size that they need to in order to be on Twitter. If I click on that link, it's going to open up the original post on Instagram and show you what my post was, right? So there's my little pop-ups. But you can see the original post, okay? So Twitter, and people can retweet these. I think a couple of them, when it came to like mortgages or content, have been retweeted by other agents. So things like that you can check out, and it makes it really easy to cross-post when you're just cross-posting between the two, okay? Are there any questions on Instagram? Are there any questions on hashtags? Hashtags, again, I can click on hashtags. Let's see if I can find one. So for instance, this person used hashtag turkey hunting. So if I click on the hashtag turkey hunting, I can see that it has 528,000 posts. And these are all of the people who have used hashtag turkey hunting as their as a hashtag in their post. So this is how you broaden the reach, because anybody who's following this hashtag or this content will see my post and could potentially like it, could potentially follow me if I become a big enough name. This is how we're building that brand. Does that make sense? Hopefully. Okay. Any more, no questions on Instagram? I have no questions. Nothing, huh? Normally I have so many questions I can't get through the class fast enough. Or like, I don't have enough time to cover everything that I've covered already. Debbie, do you have any questions about anything that I've missed?
We're looking good so far. You know, as I was looking at my page, it's funny because, you know, as I sit here and I listen to yours, and you know, I've sat through your class a bit, so I might ask something that maybe somebody else is thinking of. So I went to my Facebook business page, and that's my Wines for Humanity. I have a side gig. So, and I realized there was no a domain, so they couldn't tag me on my business page. So I started looking at, okay, so my nickname is Big Red. That's actually a horse somewhere, so I don't think that'd be really good. I started thinking about, so you've got yours, Brandy brings you home. That's your tagline. You developed that a long time ago. So Wines for Humanity is mine, but geez, Debbie F. Wines for Humanity, that, I don't know, is that little @ sign there under my name, is that uniquely me, or do I want to pseudo recognize the business that I'm in?
I would say it's uniquely you. It's whatever you want people to be able to recognize it. So maybe it's Debbie WFH, Wines for Humanity. Maybe it's a play off of it so that people can quickly think of, when they think of Wines for Humanity, they think of you. Maybe it's WFH, you know, Debbie, whatever play on it you want it to be. It's just so that people can easily find you when they want to tag you in something, when they're hosting a party. For instance, Wines for Humanity, like, you know, you may host a party, and that's when they're hosting that, we want to be able to tag you that they're having a party with you. So thanks at WFH for hosting an awesome wine party or wine tasting, whatever it may be. And that's something that they can tag you on.
Cool, thanks. Because I'm sure some people are thinking at it, because I've seen that there before, and I was never really sure what it was used for, so I never created anything because I didn't want to screw anything up permanently.
Right. And that's how we just tag other pages. So again, like if you're out with your buyers and they're looking for their dream home with, and then at Brandy brings you home. And that's all that it's going to be. So now when it posts, somebody can click on that at Brandy brings you home, and it'll automatically take them to this page, my Brandy brings you home page. Or if I were to do with at Debbie eventually when you do Wines for Humanity, however you do it, it would pull you up. And that's how we'd be able to click on your webpage, Wines for Humanity.
Cool, thank you.
Okay. I cruised through that because there's no questions.
Yeah, because what I do love about being in class on a webinar is, as you said, I know there's no questions because you're on your social media page, and you know that's exactly what I was doing.
Yeah. No, and that's what I want you to do too, but at the same time, you know, if we're trying to, you know, it makes it hard because then you might miss some things too while you're at it if you're scrolling through.
Right, because I was on my social media page, probably the last class when you were talking about that ad sign under there, and I was thinking about hashtags in the last class, and hey, how do I really need to be using my hashtags a little better? And
Yes.
Brandy had mentioned that you could hide a couple of different hashtags everywhere. So if I have 3 different photos that I've put up, I can put one hashtag under this photo and another hashtag under there. So I love the way you said, put them in there, sprinkle them around, and hide them. So they're there. I loved that piece. I thought that was really awesome.
Yeah, and to even hide them, like I showed you in Instagram, how you can like pull the color and hide them in there on a listing photo or on a photo with more color than obviously like my computer screen. It's a lot easier to hide them. Like you can hide them in the grass, you can hide them in the sky, you can hide them in the garage door, because those are bigger spaces that the color may be broader. For you, you could hide them in the wine or the countertop, or, you know, maybe in the refrigerator in the background. You can hide those tags in larger spaces than what I necessarily had as like my computer screen when I gave you the example.
I'll have to play with that one more.
One of the other things on Facebook you guys can add is the appointments. Normally I don't get to talk about this just because I don't have enough time because there's a lot of questions. So the appointments is one thing that you can do. And this allows what I consider like the consumer, when you have a listing, if they wanted to book an appointment or book a walkthrough, this allows you to be able to do that through your social media. Debbie, you could do this for like if they wanted to book a wine tasting. So it will send reminders. You'll be able to receive requests that they're requesting either a wine tasting or a showing. And then it will send them reminders, which is awesome when it comes to showing houses, because then it cuts down on your no-shows. It makes them more accountable of like, when Facebook automatically sends that consumer a reminder of like, oh, hey, don't forget you have a 6 o'clock appointment. That customer or that consumer is going to feel obligated to either let you know of, hey, I can't make it, or they're going to show up because they feel obligated at that point in time. So this is something you can do in here. And a lot of times once you set this up, when you're discussing a date or time with them in the messenger, it will automatically request an appointment for them, which is really, really cool. So this is another cool thing that you have in here under your appointments. Again, in that white bar, which is your profile settings for your business page. I'm trying to think of what else we can cover. You guys, there's no questions.
I know, that's crazy.
I know, they're all so quiet. I feel like, do you guys want me to unmute you and then maybe ask questions that way?
You know, and I think next time if we do some polls, we got to work on this. Like, how many of you have your Brandy brings you home on your page? Those are good questions. We'll start working on making this an even more interactive webinar.
Yeah, and I'll unmute everyone and see. Oh, here we go.
And if you,
oh, sorry, I muted you, Debbie. Muted you, sorry. Everyone's unmuted.
okay, yeah, thanks, Brandy.
Sorry, I have that power.
So everybody has the ability to unmute themselves. So if you have something to ask, don't worry, dumb stuff. If it's kind of correlated to this business, we're okay with that too. Because, you know, I was asking about my Wines for Humanity business.
As long as it has to do with social media, someone will get something out of it.
Yep. So, and I've already linked up my Instagram page today because I had not done that before because I just really hadn't used it a whole lot. But the more I can cross advertise,
Yeah.
I think that's going to be a little better for me.
Yeah, and one of the things I talked about in the last class is I'm really testing out transparency between hundreds of social, like, and when I say hundreds, like, I'm not being, yeah, you guys saw my phone, like, there's apps on there that I probably shouldn't even use, but I'm using as a social app because I want transparency between all of them to see how much of a, like, how they all interact and really work. So when I teach them, I'm teaching them not only as a viewer standpoint, but I'm also teaching them as a person who's really just testing them. Looks like we have one question.
Ooh.
Yeah, no. Hey, Brandy, great. Do you have HomeSnap Pro Plus? Or do I have HomeSnap only? So HomeSnap's Pro Plus, I do not have. I use HomeSnap, which is what we get. We get HomeSnap Pro
Premium.
as a member. Go ahead, Debbie. You were gonna say
Premium.
something.
Got to throw in the premium because real comp members don't have that one.
So we have that automatically available to us. There are workarounds. That's a good question because there are workarounds for all of the stuff that you have to pay for. For instance, like this house for sale, if there's an old listing, there's not on this one, of course. So let's see what I can find. If there is a listing where, like, a lot of times in order to see the archived listing, you have to pay for it. And there's workarounds for it. Like if I click on this and if I click on the sold, I can, oh, they might have gotten rid of it. Up until this point, yes, you can see the historical listing. And a lot of times, like in other places, they make you sign up for HomeSnap Pro Plus in order to see the historical listing, and that's not actually true. They haven't broken all the way around. So everything that you have to pay for the most part, besides their ads, there's workarounds in order to find. This farming tool that they have, so now the new farming tool where I can see, for instance, on this, wherever I am, I think I'm in Warren because that's where one of my clients was looking. I can see most likely to list. I can see where it says likely to list right here. So say I was in a neighborhood where there's a ton of likely to lists. Let's see if I can find one. I know there's one. I used it as an example in another class, so let's see. So there's Rich Road right in here. So this neighborhood has quite a few likely to lists. See if I can get them then. Okay. So likely to list, and then there's an orange flag that'll say most likely to list right here. So most likely to list. So these are based on, it looks at the mortgage and how much they owe on the mortgage, if it's in good standing, and obviously if like a certain percentage is paid off, then that's how it gauges whether or not they're likely to list and how long they've lived there.
Hey, Brandy.
Yeah.
You're still showing Facebook. I wasn't sure if you were wanting to show your HomeSnap app.
Why is it not showing my phone?
Did Reflector 3 turn off?
Nope, it shows, my webinar shows me that it's showing my phone.
Is your, oh, odd. There you go. Okay, we're good now. Woohoo!
Sorry guys. Okay, so thank you. When you're in a HomeSnap, I will show that first section again that I did. So for a historical listing, if it's been sold before, this one of course has not been, and the last one I was in did. But if there's a historical listing, like you used to not be able to, this is a brand new build. That's a brand new build too. So I can't show it right now, but I will. I'll re-show it in a second. If you have to pay for the historical listing, there's a workaround for it, which I'll show again. And then the second part is this likely to list portion. So farming, we have the ability as a MiRealSource member to go into Realist and print off labels if you are going to farm this area. So if I found a neighborhood like this one where there's a lot of likely to list or most likely to list, I can go to Realist, outline that neighborhood and print off the labels and then send them all out. What I can also do is, and Facebook is really, really getting harsh on this, but I can also farm that specific area. If I wanted on social media, I can just do an outline of that area and really just farm them. Especially like if I had sold a house in that area, you can do the boosts that way as well. So good question, but there are workarounds for everything that the pro has. And I believe in paying the least amount of money to make the most amount of money. So for instance, I think I spent $650 in advertising last year, and I sold just shy of 4 million. So I think my return was pretty good when I don't advertise that much. And that includes all my Facebook giveaways. So when I do giveaways to gain followers, that includes those gift cards. So if I'm giving $150 away at a time, I'm including that in my advertising fees. Yeah, and it's $100 for your first year. So it depends on, like I said, what you want to do with your business. But again, there are workarounds. Let's see if I can find. So there's not a previously sold. These are all new builds in this area.
Hey, there were a couple of things. So Dawn did the mobile agent class last week, and she did buy the Pro Plus version. So there are a couple of things where in her account you see it's like, oh, I don't have that. She's like, oh, that's the Plus, where she paid the extra money. And what I really saw was the extra contact information, exactly where you are under, under that, the listing. So the previous listing, it's the homeowner's contact information. It's cool. I mean, if that's your business model, then go for it.
For the old listings or for the likely to lists?
Likely to list.
So let me see, you tell me if it's the same. Because I can find.
Yeah, and I have found there is some information, like I looked up my house and it has contact information for my husband and me, but it's crap. It was useless. It was all wrong. Okay.
Was it? Because I didn't find that it was wrong. Let's see if I can find where I'm going.
And remember, so my house is in St. Clair County, so mine's going to be, we're the Reddit stepchild out here.
So I know that this is accurate. Like this says current owner, and then if I go into it, I mean, I have to unlock some of it. But if I know their first and last name, here's the thing. If I know their first and last name, I don't need this app to tell me how to get a hold of them. I can find, we all have been a stalker at some point in time on social media. There's not a human in this world who hasn't used social media as some kind of stalking tool. Whether you're stalking a business, whether you're stalking a person, I don't care. You all know how to be a PI if you want to. So if I have this homeowner's first and last name, I can find them anywhere. Plus I have their address. I mean, it's not hard at that point in time. You just gave me a door. So yes, could you pay for it to get information easily? But I mean, either way you pay for it, you either pay for it with your time or you pay for it with your money. Like it's up to you. But that was a good question. People ask me how to utilize this as a lead generation tool. If I go to the Me button, and if I go to invite, there is where what says share your profile link is homesnap.com/Brandy-Ullom. I just copy that link and put it into social media. And I tell people if they want to search like an agent, this is how they do so. And then they'll show up in your contacts and clients. They'll show up in here. And I can watch their behavior and what they're doing. So pretty simple. One of the things you do get with the Pro Plus is who's viewed your profile. That's the other thing. Like if you were an agent looking to move, you can see what other agents or brokers are stalking your profile. I guess that's a plus.
Literally, Pro Plus.
Yeah. I had thought of something else, but I forgot.
Oh, hey, you know, the home snap, the videos, what is it? Not the my videos. Help me with the name. How, because remember, we're having a hard time with promoting our listings right now and making them into a video. So
Right.
home snap can, gosh, what's the word for it, Brandy?
They do an advertising video for like a walkthrough or any type of social media videos you can do on your own listing.
And yep, and there's a free one, so it'll help you turn your photos into a video.
Like a
And
slideshow.
thank you. Yes, and you can also, can you upload your own video on that one? But I remembered that one is free. It's not part of the additional stuff. So that's just a different way of branding a video to yourself. So if you want to say, hi, this is Brandy Ullom with Real Living Key, you know, blah, 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 come see my beautiful home. Remember, that's branded videos. Sweet.
Yep. No other questions? Guys, you guys are killing me.
Oh, here we go. Oh, sorry, Jared. Does this class go towards Con Ed hours? No, we don't do Con Ed at MiRealSource, but it does go towards your technology certification through MiRealSource.
Yeah. If you took my social media class through Real Living Key, it does.
You got Con Ed approval on that. Nice job.
Sorry, guys. Oh.
Yeah, that was one extra headache we just never got into, because there's a lot of reporting on that. And we'd rather have butts in seats for a good reason as opposed to just getting Con Ed credit.
Let me get it. All right, guys, are there any, if there's no questions, I could go over some in-depth stuff. I can give you some examples on Facebook of like content to post. Does that sound good?
Well, I did want to give a good shout out to our vendor MLSs that are here. So most of our members know that we do offer MLS services to other associations. Southeastern Border Association of Realtors is here with us today. Greater Shiawassee Association of Realtors is here today. I think those are the only other two ones. Nobody from Bay, nobody from the list of vendor MLSs, but definitely a huge shout out for jumping onto our webinar today.
Nice. Well, thank you guys for joining. I wish you guys had more questions, but it's okay. I won't hold it against anyone.
And don't forget to download those handouts, because if you're not in our MLS, if you're on your association's platform, those handouts might not be available in your MLS documents, because that is dependent on your MLS staff. So if you would like those handouts, go for that. And remember, you can always email me, Debbie Fajardo. I'm with MiRealSource. Find me, ask me to send them to you. Brandy's really good. You can find her on HomeSnap, social media, and everywhere.
Yeah. Just remember, Brandy brings you home. You'll find it. So, if there's no other questions, guys, you guys are free to go, or make sure you leave a review for the class. And
oh yes, there is a class survey that pops up after the webinar.
yeah.
So once we close the webinar, it pops up. So please.
So ask all your questions in there, because I know you guys have them. I know that there's questions that you guys just aren't asking. There's no way I'm skating through this class without anyone having any questions.
Oh, Brandy, Jared has a great one.
Which one? Let's see. Where is the best place to find articles and things to post on social media? Multiple places. So it depends on what content you're looking for. I scroll a lot through Pinterest in order to see what other agents are posting. There's a lot of like fun little memes. There's a lot of like, that's where I'll find checklists or cleaning tips, household DIY tips. Other than that, you can Google things like, what are the top producing agents? In fact, I had a nice phone conversation yesterday with one of the top brokers in our state, and he was very mad at me when I said, you're not top on social media. You're not even a competer. Like you have no, there's, everybody's out competing you. And this person was very, very upset with me, very upset. And he didn't believe me. In fact, he called me a liar on so many levels. And he's like, I'm in the top 10. And I'm, no, you're not. And so I did a lot of research last night, and I sent out an article that said, and I said, you're not even in the top 50. And here's proof. And I sent out multiple articles of the top 50 real estate agents in Michigan that are very, very successful on social media. And in fact, their response this morning was, I hate you. But it's the truth. And sometimes if you're a top producer, it doesn't necessarily mean that you're very good at social media. A lot of our smaller producers are incredibly good at social media. And it's not because they're small, because they could be bigger. They're choosing to keep their business where they want to cap it. That's all. And so one of the articles, and I bring it up because that article is a great way to find agents who have great content and have great following. And that's what I'm going to look at. I'm going to follow them, and I'm going to watch their content and then flip it to make it work for my business. Okay, what is he doing that's making him successful? They've got 65,000 followers, right? What is she doing? What is he doing? And what is he posting? What content is he putting out there that's making him successful? And the funny thing is, it's mostly personal. So if I go through all of those agents, in fact, I'll see if I can, I'm going to pause what I'm sharing, because I don't want you guys to know the broker that I was discussing this with, but I'll send you Debbie, can I send you the link to the website and then you can post it? Or do you want me to post it?
I can do that.
And then you guys can check out the top agents in our state, and then check out their content. Okay, I just sent it over to you.
Cool.
And a lot of times Googling things. Google it, see what 10, 12 agents are doing. And if 10 or 12 agents are doing that, then you've got a valuable source there. That's what you're going to want to follow. If maybe only 1 or 2 are following it, that's not something that you want to follow, because there's just not enough proof that that's the right thing to do. Okay. And again, remember, don't focus on just content of like, checklists or listings or, information on how to sell or information of how to get approved for a buyer. Content is what you ate for lunch. Content is what you're wearing today. Content is what you did with your family. Content is the walk you went on. Content is how the weather is. That's content. And sometimes that is just as valuable to the consumer as your checklist. Does anyone have any questions about any of the other social media platforms? I know we only talked about, yeah, Pinterest is great. I know we only talked about Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, but what about any of the other platforms that are out there? Anyone have any questions about like Nextdoor and how to use it, or Snapchat, or WhatsApp, or TikTok? Or this is the first class that no one's been like, oh my God, what is TikTok? You guys are all really quiet about it.
Are they starting to figure it out now?
No, they're all really questioning it.
Right.
So, and remember, you guys can unmute yourself. I made it so that you guys can unmute yourself if you wanted.
All right, looks like everybody is good.
Well, thank you guys for taking the class, and remember, there's a poll that will go out to ask how it was, and hopefully I'll see you guys for an in-house class where you guys can actually like really interact, and we can go into deeper into things with questions, and so I can really kind of cater and answer what you guys want individually for your business and where you want your social media to go.
And don't forget that by tomorrow, this will be uploaded to our YouTube channel. Just type in the search bar, MiRealSource Media, and subscribe to our channel and you'll get notified of the new videos that are there. We put Brandy's last social media video is up there. We've put up Instanet, Authentisign, Mobile Agent, all of the remote and paperless agent. So we have been working hard at putting everything out there for our members. All right then. I guess we're good. Brandy, you want to sign off? Say thank you, and thank you, everybody, again.
Enjoy the rest of your day in quarantine.
Yeah. All right. Bye, everybody.
Bye, guys.